It's off exit 10, presented by Capital District Sport and Fitness.
Well, it's like with you. We got to get them into town if they're not from around here to find a time that works. And I'd rather do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you can see, it took me, 5 years to finally get by the gym?
Dude,
I've been trying.
Matt, it's crazy. So, yeah, we have Matt Curbeau on today. And we met when I was living in Boston. I mean, I don't even know what year. Those years were great. Those years are kind of a blur to me. But probably 2014.
I think it'd be 14.
2014.
Yep.
Yeah, we were saying off camera. Last time I saw you, we got sushi in Waltham, and I probably moved back here like the next day or two.
Pretty sure it was the next day.
Yeah.
I think you were packed.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that was a wild time because it was October. Sam and I got married in September. And I was like, okay, we're going to do our honeymoon. We went to Italy, and then we go back to Boston, and we just kind of pick up with life. And then it was probably that next week where Sam was like, hey, I'm looking at other jobs. I got an interview in Pittsfield. And if I get it, we're going to move back home. And I was like, holy shit. Like, we just got back from Italy. Just trying to like readjust to the time zone. And I was like, what am I going to do? And she was like, you're going to open up the gym now. And I was like, okay. Okay, here we roll.
And it's funny every time I hear that story too, because I've known Mike my whole life. We talked about this right before. I've known him pretty much my whole life, and I've known Sam the same amount of time, if not a year longer, because we're the same. Sam and I are the same age. And hearing him say that and how it went down does not surprise me at all. Not surprise me at all that Sam was like, this is what we're doing. You're going to open the gym, and it's going to happen. And now here we are.
How'd you end up in Boston? Because you're an upstate New York guy, too.
Yep. Western New York.
Western New York guy. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
The only New York team.
Yeah. Yeah, I met my wife at a triathlon camp, of course. It's always a funny story. But she lived in Boston, and the guy that was coaching me in the coaching group was all based out of Boston. And so I was middle 20s chasing triathlon because I thought that was the coolest thing at the time. So I wanted to just, hey, I'll move over. You coach me. I'll live in your basement. It'll be great. And Kate lived here, so obviously that was good. And then I've been here for 10 years. And she grew up in Medfield. We live one town over in Millis. And that's how it's been. Haven't left. Miss home at times. The riding's great, the family and all that. But like I was telling you earlier, Kate's sister, brother-in-law, 2 kids live a mile away. Mm-hmm. So my daughter Claire, who's 4, has nephews that are 5 and 7. Yep. So it's easy. So, like I said, family's right there, and her parents down in the Cape. Everything works pretty good that way.
Yeah, to have the childcare is huge. But that's the first time I got introduced to triathlon, when I met you and then that group of people. And I was like, holy shit, it's just a time-consuming sport. Because you have to train running and cycling and swimming. And all you guys had a job, too.
Yep. Yeah. Semi. I mean, we can jump. Triathlon is probably the middle of my life so far. We can jump into wherever you want. That was where I met you. Mm-hmm. I was at an interesting part of my life. That was a good part because I ended up meeting Kate, my wife, that we have a kid and all that good stuff. But it was definitely like a middle part, my middle 20s crisis. And then I have some different chapters on both sides.
Right. Is that what you feel like you did? Like, I need something to do, some physical outlet, so you jumped to triathlon?
Yeah, eventually. I mean, as Mike knew me, we connected because I played baseball. Mm-hmm. I think you guys are all baseball guys. Mm-hmm. This whole gym's probably built on baseball. I'm looking at 2 jerseys and all the college T-shirts on the wall. But yeah, I was just a young kid that was good at baseball early, and all my other friends played lacrosse and got D1 scholarships, of course. I stuck with baseball because I was good when I was 12, and then played varsity when I was like 14. And you're really good when you're in your local scene and you're small or big fish in a small pond. So that I love baseball, I love sports. I was a run on the football team, but I played all the positions and started just because I was a grinder. And then, yeah, once you go to college and realize people are actually good and you're not as good as them at skilled sports, I lifted a lot and then found my way into endurance stuff. And actually, I was good at it. And then that took off. And I just chased that for like 5 or 6 years. And I should have been doing that my whole life. Funny how you learn that now. But
but who knows? Maybe you wouldn't love it now because you did it so much as a kid.
Yeah, it just wasn't,
So-
listen to your other podcasters. You talk about like good mentors and people that you have. That just wasn't around. It was traditional sports.
Yeah. Well, how big was your high school?
And, graduating class of 115.
Right. That's like where we're at.
that's like
Probably
us.
a little bit bigger than we were.
Yeah.
Around here's wild. So when I was in Boston, right, I worked in Needham. So you had like Needham, Wellesley. Those are the two big ones I can think of, but they were big high schools.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what graduating class was there, probably in the 6s and the 5s. And then that's the first time I got exposed to like the politics of high school sports. And I remember being like, holy shit, this is wild. And I was like, I can't wait to move back to New York to avoid it. And then I moved back here, and you get introduced to the biggest high schools like Shenandoah. There's some others. They graduate like 800.
Yeah.
And the politics are just as crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a benefit to going to a small school, smaller town. You could play multiple sports. You don't get pressured into specializing. You can kind of be like us, like smaller dudes who just kind of grind their way through.
Yep.
Like your skills aren't the best.
No, you have a subset of athletes, and every coach is trying to take that, for their sport because they have to fill it for spring, fall, winter, all that, and you're trying to pull the best athlete into your sport.
Yeah, and keep them there all year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Nowadays.
Yeah, it wasn't like that with us though. Because
No.
would you play baseball, football?
And basketball for a little while, 5'8".
Listen.
It showed up when I was a junior.
Listen, I played football, basketball, or baseball, and I was on the basketball team.
Yeah.
I was on the team.
Yep.
I didn't play a lot, but I was on the team.
Ditto.
So I get it. I'm 5'9.5". It's not that not that much different.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Yeah. I love football though.
Football's
Football
my
is sweet.
shit.
I should have kicked at Fisher. That's what I should have done. I think I could have gone places.
So
Like the
you-
Bills.
You kicked all through high school.
Yeah, because my neighbor had a goalpost.
Okay.
Yeah, my neighbor had an accident when he was in Little League. Like, I don't know what happened exactly, but he hurt himself, so he couldn't be like a middle linebacker. So at 12 years old, it was like, you can't be a middle linebacker. You can't tackle people for, all day. You're going to get hurt. And so he just became this awesome kicker. He went to Alfred, awesome college kicker. Still lives in Penn Yan. Pat Brewer was my neighbor. But yeah, I had a goalpost with a net. We had a light that was on top of my dad's garage that he'd point. And so after Pat moved away, I had free reign just to go kick footballs whenever I wanted. So that's why I was the kicker. I had played other positions too. but
What year were you at Fisher?
I went to Fisher from spring of fall of 04 to 08.
Okay, so you went there like right after, like my sister was probably there a little bit while you were there because she went to Fisher, but she's
Nice.
she's in her early 40s, so she was there I think 99 to
Okay.
03 or 04.
She
something
play
like that.
sports or anything?
No, she didn't. She's just super freaking smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
glad.
super freaking
Go
smart.
Fisher.
Yeah. Yep. I almost went there. I was close, but
Yeah.
then I found Cortland, and
Yep.
that's where I ended up. But
Nice.
Fisher was a very close second on my list.
Yeah, that's a big deal now. They're a university,
Mm-hmm.
that looks apart. It was different 20 years ago.
Yeah,
15
sports
years ago.
recruiting is crazier now, even at D3. Because even when I was at Springfield, it was like I emailed the coach
Yeah.
once or twice, right? This is how it was.
Yep.
When I went to visit the campus, I just met him in his office.
Yep.
You'd send him like a fucking DVD.
Look, I have videotape.
Videotape.
Did you ever go to listen to your other podcast to try and bone up? They have all these things now. I'm sure you go to all different camps all over, but like we had like one, and it was some dad was a part of this like probably Ponzi scheme, and it was like, you're gonna send all your kids to New Hartford or wherever, and you're gonna go to this field, and they're gonna tape you, and then this tape is gonna go to all your coaches, and we'll get you into college. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It was a videotape. We could have done it at our high school.
Yeah, that's what. Okay,
there was no need to go to like Hartford.
no.
to do this.
Think
stuff.
about this now, guys. This is because now it's like you have PBR and Perfect Game. I mean, people are shelling out big money to get.
I don't
these
even
tapes.
know any of those names. By
It's
the
just
way.
it's just like
figured
it's
it.
like showcase camps that there are. But yeah, when I went to send a tape out to colleges, I went to All Stars Academy, which is still a thing, and now it's like a giant money machine for all of this recruiting. But I literally was on a Sunday, probably like one light on in the place, and this guy who owns it, Mike Sterbalik, had a fucking DVD like handheld camera, and like ripped me some fungos. We videoed it, rounded BP, we videoed it, and that was it.
Here's the invoice, Mr. Sirianni.
Yeah, there you go. And then you sent that in.
Yeah. I did like a little bit of football stuff with like Fisher was one of the few schools I actually went to and like talked to the coach and went looked
How old are you?
around. 33.
33.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, Fisher's a great program. We had Robinson. You remember, he would have been a little bit older than you, but the name Robinson and Fehrenbach were two studs when I was there. That was taking them pretty deep in the playoffs.
Because they were good when I was going there and like going for the recruit. The only reason, honestly, the big reason why I didn't go there was because I originally was going for phys ed and they didn't have phys ed.
Okay.
So I would have done either education or sport management there. So I was like, well, Cortland is like the best phys ed school.
Yep.
So I was like, that's where I'm going to go. Plus, when I stepped on Cortland's campus, I was like, yeah, this feels right. And that's what I tell kids in here. I'm like, you'll know when the school feels right. Like, if you're hesitant about something, go to visit another school maybe and see if that school feels right. Because I knew right away. I was like, yeah, this is
well,
where I
look at
wanna
you.
be.
You did. How many years did you play baseball at Fisher?
About a year and a quarter.
Yeah.
Year and a quarter.
How did you know you were done?
How did I know I was done?
Yeah.
I wasn't good enough. There was no spot in the future for me. I had like one hit my freshman year. It was a triple, absolute bomb. Against Fredonia, I think. But yeah, I mean, like I went there, and then the year that I came in, they brought in the junior college, or I'm sorry, JUCO. Is that what?
Yeah.
Like kind of below D3.
Yeah, like a 2-year school.
Yeah, he was at Alfred Fetzner, awesome dude. He was my roommate, super good guy. But they brought him in. He was the JUCO Player of the Year, and he was a second base. And I came there to play second base. So I was like, cool.
Great.
So I'm not going to play. And then he actually played, he had like a full 2 years. So, that spot was gone. And then, and again, listen to your other podcasts. Like I had a really good high school coach, like really, really good high school coach. And it was different in college. That same feeling wasn't around. And I waffled. I didn't progress. So my time was up. But it sucked, and like a lot. Like my gloves are still stacked up in the corner of my office. Like I've played catch twice, probably since I stopped playing.
Well, do you ever have the itch to play?
No,
Neither do I.
I was done. It was over. Like I thought I'm like an athlete. I think that's very delusional, and I think that I'm really good at everything. I think I have to. I'm short. I'm not strong. I'm not gifted. Like
why is that? Is it just why? But a lot of. That's like the MO of like a D3 baseball player. I'm the same. A lot of other kids we have in here are the same. They're like...
But really good endurance athletes. I guarantee if you went in endurance, you'd be good. Because it's just a mindset, I think, of you're not the physically gifted D1 6'3" dude that can just stand up and just lob bombs over the right field fence. Just not going to happen. So you got to find out other ways to do it. And it probably helps in a lot of respects in life and work. You created a whole gym for yourself out of nothing.
Yeah.
But it's a different mentality. But yeah, I mean, it was time to move on, and it's probably really telling. I mean, within I think 2 weeks of stopping playing baseball, I had like cleared out my apartment, sublet it to somebody else, applied and got a study abroad thing for the next 6 months in London, and on January I went to Buffalo Bills game. They got, I forget what year that was. They got smoked by somebody, of course. Went to that game, and then I was out of the country on like January 6th. Gone. And then came back in June. That was just, I don't know. I think that's probably pretty telling of the person I am, on the spot. Let's change something up.
On to the next thing.
Yeah.
I wonder, what year do you think it was the Bills? I wonder who the quarterback was then.
Well, if it was...
It would have been 06. January 06.
Probably like Trent Edwards.
Yeah, it was like in the in-between time before we had Fitzpatrick, I think.
Maybe JP Lozman could have been the quarterback.
Yeah, JP was 04. He was right around when I went to school.
It probably would have been Trent Edwards then, because I think he was after Lozman. And then you had
I
Fitzpatrick.
try to forget all those just
I know.
muddling
Okay,
quarterbacks.
so you were so little, but the Bills were what, the early 90s, 90, 91, 92,
yeah, I caught
93.
I caught the end, 93, 94, when they were still pretty good. I have a lot of different stories on the Bills, but the best one is that my parents sold a house to a guy that owned a telecom thing up in Rochester. Indian family and was real good friends with Daryl Talley. And so Daryl Talley used to come to the lake every year, where I grew up on Keuka Lake. And when he came down, they were nice enough to invite a few of the kids over that were fans. And so Daryl would be there with his like blood-strewn Super Bowl jersey. And like I got a picture of me in the newspaper with Daryl's jersey, Daryl next to me.
That's pretty cool.
So you're kind of a Bills fan for life when that stuff happens.
Oh, yeah.
Who's QB, Jay? Did you look it up?
Yeah, 06 was Lossman, 07 Edwards.
Okay.
That's pretty close.
They rolled through. I mean, how many quarterbacks then do they have? Probably from 06 until
06 until Josh Allen, a lot.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it wasn't horrible when we had, it was, we had Flutie for his magic run for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then they, for some reason, benched him before the Music City Miracle. Then we had Bledsoe, which is great.
Yeah.
Bledsoe used to live a town over from me now in Medfield. All people remember him.
Yep. He played for. I'm a Cowboys fan. He played for the Cowboys.
Yeah, on his farewell tour.
Yep. Yep. Then he lost his job again.
Yep.
he was a quarterback before Brady, right?
He lost his job to injury twice.
Yeah.
He lost it to Brady.
He got a ring though.
Yep. He got a ring, and he was a key reason why they won that ring because he had to come in and play for Brady. And then he lost his job to Romo in Dallas because he got hurt in Dallas. He got like a concussion or something again because the guy had a lot of concussions.
Yeah. Fun fact, Bledsoe, I bought like $20 like a PSA 10 rookie of a Bledsoe a couple months ago.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Are you a cards guy?
I kind of got back into it lately.
Dude.
I did it because of Josh. I just started. My buddy owned a Nettie, my friend that I used to work with at Normatec. He opened up a card shop on the side.
Oh.
And so I was always like, "Hey man, you got any Josh Allens?" And he's like, not really. And then one day out of the blue, like 2 years ago, he's like, "Hey man, I'm at a show. There's a Josh Allen card. It's pretty good." I'm like, "How much is it?" He's like, $700. And I'm like, "That's a lot." And he goes, "Okay, hold on." And he goes back. He's like, "It's $525. It's a good." I'm like, it's a good deal. You should do it. And I did it. And so I've got this like graded card. I only graded out like an 8, but it's PSA 8 Josh Allen stained glass 2018 rookie. So I try to buy, the Josh Allen cool stuff. But then, there's a card shop that's near me in my house, and I go over there and you get sucked into that
Dude,
world.
yeah. I mean, Jordan,
I love it.
How heavy is our dad into cards?
And more than anyone I know.
More than
Where does
Matt.
he send it into? Because I go to
PSA.
He goes to
PSA,
I go to
yeah.
SGC a lot now.
Okay, yeah. You'd
Quicker
have to
turn.
have that debate with him.
Quicker turn.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
PSA
sure.
is a long return, and he'll be like, I have to bunch together, say 50 to send in to make it worth
Correct.
right.
If you send like one card in, it's $50, but if you bulk like 20, it's 15 a pop, something like that.
right.
Can I tell a cool story?
Yeah,
So
that's why we're here.
Okay,
That's why we're here, Matt.
This is what I want to talk about. A year and a quarter ago, whatever. So F1's huge, or peaks and valleys, because it starts every March. It's huge. So, anyways,
Wait, what's huge?
F1,
That's
Formula
the
One
race
racing.
cars. Yeah, okay.
The Netflix Drive to Survive.
Yeah, it's
knows.
gotten really big because
Yeah,
of
the
that
Netflix
series.
Yeah.
show blew it up.
Okay.
And Lewis Hamilton.
So they came out in 2020 with their first Topps Chrome set of cards. And so I missed that. I didn't even know what was going on. But the next year, last year, which is 22 with the 21 season, so those cards were out. And he's like, "Hey, man, you should get some cards." I went over to his shop. I bought, 4 or 5 packs. Got some cool cards. They're like $50 a pack or 64. And I was like, "Oh, man, this is cool." And I started looking up everything online, and it was on fire. It was the end of February, right when the season gets kicked off. Everybody's all fired up. And so I'm seeing the prices skyrocket, and it was right before the cards really peaked in 22. So I bought a box at $700, retails at like $450, and then I bought a box, another one on eBay for like $850. So I'm probably $1,600 into these
This
cards.
shit becomes a business, dude.
So I got nothing out of them, right? And I let it sit all summer, and I have the boxes unopened, and then I'm just like, screw it. The market's tanking. I'm just going to open these for fun. And I did it in like 20 minutes, just rip. And then I put them in a box. I didn't think I had anything. And I came back a year later, and I see I've got a rookie, and I've got these cool things. So I'm like, I'll put it on eBay. I'll see what's going on. And before I launched it, I forget who it was. I was asking somebody what I had, and he's like, "Holy cow. Like, I'll give you $2,000 for that card raw." And I was like,
What?
What? So I pulled the listing down before I like put it out there for real. So I was scared. I was like, oh my god, I thought I was gonna get $100.
Right.
And so I go on.
Raw is, people listening, raw is it's not graded.
Not graded.
And
yeah.
And a grade is, Jay, just explain the grades. People listening, they're like, what are you talking about?
Graded card, you send it into a company who examines the edges of the card, the centering of the image, just
The quality.
essentially it grades the quality of the card.
Okay.
And so if you get a 10, it's like a holy grail, and you know that card is completely mint, and you basically you validated everything about that card. It's the best one you can find of that. So this card's a 3 out of 5, Oscar Piastri, and he's a rookie that got put on McLaren. So he got a seat on a real deal team. He's 1F2, 1F3, the kind of the minor leagues. So he's got this big pedigree, and so everybody's hot on him. And so the guy's like, yeah, you can get this raw. And then I reached out to a dude on Instagram that I follow randomly. I was like messaging him like, hey man, what should I do? And he's like, you need to send this to PSA immediately, like pay for the expedited version of it, do all that, and see what you got, so you don't leave anything on the table.
Because if it's a 10 graded, then the cost is.
Yeah, it could be anything. So some dude wants to give me $1,000 for it, completely raw, and he's like, just send it in. You never know what it's gonna get. Okay, so I do it, and I get a 10. So I get this thing back.
Oh God,
It's a 10. And I did all the tips that he told me. It was so good. Like nobody ever tells you take painter's tape. You take painter's tape, blue stuff, take it around the edges, and you get all the shit off. I can swear, right?
Are you? Yeah, you can fucking swear. Are you scared you're gonna damage it?
Yeah. I got latex doctor's gloves on. I'm like shaking,
Dude, I
So I'm
can't-
like,
sweating like
this thing's
Matt,
worth something.
I'm 0 for at least 30 and putting the like screen protectors on my iPhone without messing it up.
So I'm like shaking. I'm doing painter's tape on all the edges. And then you take a microfiber cloth and you clean the front. And I'm really scared on
I'd
that.
be terrified.
Because you want to make it so the grader has to do nothing, right? And you want it perfect. So I do all that, and then I see something, and I'm like, I don't know if that's part of the card or whatnot. I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, shit, this is going to get 9. And then, so I send it. It's like $200 to do expedited, but I get it back in a week. And in that time, I go on Facebook, and as soon as I get the grade online, I get into this group, because you don't want to sell it on eBay and all this stuff, because you don't know who you're doing it. So you want to kind of find somebody that's really into it, because then you're going to find the better buyer, somebody that's really into it for the right reasons, somebody that wants to like collect it. And so I put it out there, hey, I got this. It's PSA 10. He was really popular. Season hadn't started, so there's a lot of, a lot of juice going right now for it. Anyways, long story short, $4,000. I sold a card for $4,000.
Holy dude. That's
So you made out okay.
Yeah.
yeah, that's cards.
I will never have that happen again, but yeah.
That's the thrilling. That's why everybody does it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, people chase that.
They chase that
Well,
exact.
it's similar to
moment.
the whole like flipping sneakers thing too. Like, you get those mint sneakers that never been worn and
Yeah.
X, Y, Z, and
But
I'm sure they got to get graded too.
What's tough, Matt, is when we grew up, cards got overprinted like crazy.
Yeah.
So all the cards that we had from our childhood in the 90s,
I should go
early
back and look to see if I got
2000s,
any.
Yeah.
Any good ones.
so many were printed that they just got devalued because of the pure volume of each card.
Yep.
Yeah, you're talking about spending like how much on these packs, and I'm like, dude, I spent like $15 on like a pack of like 100.
Yeah. No, it's the good packs are $60, $70 for 10 cards,
Yeah.
but it's gambling. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just another form of gambling. At least you get to go home with something.
Yeah.
But
You're
anyways.
not just going home empty-handed.
That's wild.
That's sick though. That's sick.
Yeah, that's my card story.
What's the best baseball card you have?
Well, some of the most fun ones, I actually just sold them I graded it and tried to turn it. Didn't make that much, but the F face Billy Ripken one. Remember that?
Oh,
you guys know that one?
On the knob of his
Yeah.
bat.
So I had like the real one with the words. I had blacked out version, and those were cool.
Yeah, because the Ripken one, he took like a standing photograph
yeah.
with his bat, but
Yeah.
on the bottom of the knob, what is it? Said fuckface.
Yeah.
and they printed it.
Yeah. Then they caught it. And it's a whole big deal.
Oh, that's fucking great.
What's the card, Jay? It was an NBA card. where it was like
Yeah.
two guys on the run. Was it for murder? Or
They killed their dad or something, then went and watched a basketball game, and they're in the back of somebody's card. I'll look up.
Are you
who it is.
serious?
Yeah.
And it was after the murder. Like they went to the game.
Right,
there.
and they happen to be like front row NBA printed on a card. That's I think of that like the Billy Ripken one,
Yeah.
where it's values because of something that's not the player.
something completely
Menendez
arbitrary.
brothers.
The Menendez brothers.
Whose card were they on?
I'll get there for you. Lyle and Eric Menendez, convicted and sentenced in life for the murders of their parents. They were on a Mark Jackson 1990.
Shout out Mark Jackson.
Basketball card.
Shout out Mark
Pacers,
Jackson.
Indiana Pacers, right?
Let's go. It probably was his Pacers card.
Number 13.
Knicks. It was his Knicks card.
Knicks,
Oh, that's
right.
even better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Garden.
Yep. That was a good tangent. I like that.
Yeah, cards are wild, man. It's fun. It's I mean, all ours, at least all mine from my childhood, my dad took in the past, I don't know, 5 years and filtered through and PSA'd and sold. So
Yeah.
I'm about to get mine and just send them to Dave and be like, "Here, Dave. Here's another 1,000 some cards."
Yeah, he's got a good eye now.
Mm-hmm.
That's my whole bedroom. My whole childhood bedroom now is just a card room.
Yeah. I mean, there's a business in there if you want to hustle. I mean, you can turn stuff, but it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, we got fucked with baseball growing up because none of our baseball cards are worth anything.
Everybody's on steroids.
Yeah, so none of the guys that we watch are going to be in the Hall of Fame.
No, that's why all the cards like McGuire's and Canseco's and Bonds, all these cool cards that would normally be, skyrocketing Clemens, are just, even Griffey. Griffey's so overproduced.
Yeah.
I've got the Griffey cards, of course.
Yeah, the Jeters were overproduced.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it was that era, and like, it's also like Griffey was the most popular. Those two are probably the two most popular guys in baseball from '96 to whatever year,
Yeah.
2000, whenever Jeter retired.
Yep.
Yeah. Who were your guys growing up, baseball wise?
My favorite, tragically, Roberto Alomar. He's since kind of devalued himself.
What's he's done?
Well, he had the spitting incident.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of not a great human.
Yeah.
I think he's done some bad,
Some not so great.
not a good man. I'll leave it at that. But growing up, he was my favorite. I don't know why either. I think he played for Toronto.
Yeah, he was
Toronto
a middle-
the closest.
he was a second baseman.
He was a second baseman.
Yeah,
if
and-
that was your position, like,
Yeah, but it wasn't when I was like a kid. I think the Blue Jays were awesome when I was young, and I just gravitated towards the middle infield.
I wonder that must have been. I wonder if Mickey Brantley was the hitting coach at that time for the Blue Jays because he was with them.
Yeah, our friend's like uncle was for
Was
a
it
while.
Like '93.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
probs.
probably around that time.
Yeah, I mean that was my bread and butter of first really sports. I was big into the Blue Jays because they were World Series champions, like 3 times back to back because of the strike, right? Didn't they go back to back?
Well, they went
They
back
won
to-
'93. That's the only one I know for sure because it's my birth year.
Then it was the back to back because of strike year, right? So
Yeah.
nobody won.
Yeah.
But that was the first game I ever went to, first stadium I ever went to. Got up to Toronto. We were watching the game in the hotel, and it was like the 6th inning. My dad said, "Let's go take for a walk," and we scalped tickets and ended up at the game for the last few innings. That was dope.
It's a good time.
Yeah, and
Scalping
then-
the ticks.
Yeah, and then the next day went for batting practice. But that was great. That was Olerud days and all those legends.
John Olerud wearing the helmet at first base.
Yes. Yep.
Classic.
Yeah, the scalping tickets. Dad came out to Boston once, Jay, and it was this. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to a Sox game?" And I was like, "Sure." We lived in Brighton at the time, so we just took the T to Fenway, walk around. He's like, "Let's just find somebody selling tickets." 2 guys like, "Yeah, 2." And he looks at Dad, and he's like, "You're a cop. I'm not selling to you." My dad's like, "Well, used to be, like, not anymore.
It's all
Like,
good."
Yeah, like just give me 2, please." Sniped him right out.
Sniped him right out. You're a cop.
Just had that look.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
He's like, not anymore. Yeah, man. Fucking baseball days. And the football days. You played Pop Warner growing up?
We played.
Or what was youth called?
It
or
wasn't
whatever?
Pop Warner. It was just, I don't know, junior football.
At like what age, though? Young?
So we all started playing soccer, like all of us at 2nd grade. It was awful.
Terrible.
And then finally, 2 of my best friends, we all decided to play flag football when we were in like 4th grade. and then that was it. And then so we had flag football, and then you went to, I guess it was junior football. I can't remember. All I remember is we were all Indian names that are probably super not allowed now. I was the Mohegans. We played the Mohawks, Oneidas.
That's all of upstate New York.
Yeah. Our team was horrible. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get them modified in like middle school. Our team was pretty bad, but it's just like the local politics of dads. All the old dad football players got together, brought their kids on, so the Mohawk blue team was just an absolute powerhouse.
Dude, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it's
Jack.
everywhere. Like they're gonna hang out together, so they're just gonna bring their kids, and then the dads that didn't play football and the runts are gonna go on the maroon team.
Yeah, I mean, shout out. I'm trying to think. We had like Coach Washington, who I remember being great. But then we had like this guy, just called him. I don't even know his real name. Spud. You had Spud. You had Jerry Niles. You had
Bubba.
Kennicott.
Yeah. When you look back, you're like, he's fucking. As an adult, you look back, you're like, these motherfuckers.
Our coach is definitely hungover, if not drunk, every practice. Won't name names.
Yeah, it was an interesting time.
But that was a good introduction. And then, yeah, it just led into middle school football, and then obviously JV and varsity. And we had a good crew. We had a really good coach. He was a good friend of the family and everything. I didn't play my freshman year because I was like, I'm small. I'm not built for football. And he was the kind of coach that came over to your house after the season, like, hey, man, what are you doing? You could definitely come play. That kind of goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then endurance sports, the shift to that is interesting because now it's like, I guess you have a team aspect, right? But not as much of a team aspect.
Yeah, it's pretty. You're out there alone, but I think the team aspect is more of camaraderie and training.
That's what I was gonna
The
say.
people that you spend all your days with. Back when I was really at it, your training camps or people you travel with, so you develop really cool bonds because you're all doing the same thing.
You're all going through this grueling training, so it's like,
Yeah,
it gives you something to connect on, and also know like, okay, I'm not the only one doing this.
yeah. That's the beauty of all sports, is that you're just kind of going through suffering or a battle or whatever it is, a season. And you form friendships with people that you normally wouldn't. I mean, the same thing with bike races. I did a race yesterday, and probably all the people most of them you would never see out there. They might not be in your job line of work, or they might be younger or older, but if they're one of the people that sticks with you, like deep into the race, you've created this weird bond that is seemingly more important than any job you do or any like schooling that you did. It didn't matter if that person never went to college or I did or whatnot. You have like this really tight bond that you just, wow, you deserve to be up here. We're cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang out with you after, and we're gonna chat. Like have this story.
How deep into triathlon were you when I met you? Because I feel like you were
Neck deep.
You were trying to become pro, or you were already pro.
When I met you, I was quote unquote pro, and I'll preclude all of this, but I was a very middling pro. I wanted to chase it and take it as far as I could as more like a personal endeavor. I was an accountant CPA before I found really triathlon, so like I had done that part, wasn't too psyched on that world at that time, and then triathlon let me have this outlet. I wasn't married, didn't have a girlfriend, didn't have any responsibilities, so I kind of had a bunch of years where I could work at a bike shop, which is how I met Mike, because he worked on the backside of the bike shop.
Yeah.
I could coach. I didn't have a lot of expenses. I mean, I had an opportunity. Of course, my parents didn't let me flounder, which is huge. Not a lot of people have that, but they're super supportive to let me have that period in my life that most people probably don't get. Can't knock that for anything. But yeah, I chased it for like 2010 when I was still working in 2011. But then I got good enough to go to Hawaii, and I thought, I'm still improving. I want to take this as far as I can.
You did Kona?
Did Kona as an amateur. Wasn't good enough to go there as a professional. But yeah, I slaved away, and then in 2014 I could race professionally. Like I got my card, I raced good enough, I was fast enough. So yeah, the years you knew me, like 2013, 2015, 2016, I was racing at an elite level, and that was pretty much my whole game.
And then when do you? Because now you just cycle, right?
Yeah. Work, careers, families. Got married.
The cycling's crazy because I feel like there's so many, and I didn't know shit about that either in Boston. But all of a sudden you're doing like a road race, then it's like a fat bike, and then it's like some other type of race. What's the one where it's like a shorter track?
Cyclocross.
Cyclocross.
Yep.
Yeah. There's just so many variations.
Yeah. Endless. That's how they get you to buy the bikes.
You need a different bike for everything.
Need a different bike.
You got to get more cards then. Start selling them, I guess.
There you go. Go find another 10 out of 10 and
Yep.
give another $4,000.
I try, but cycling was a natural. Of course, I picked the most expensive, the most time consuming. Kate's probably my wife is super psyched probably. But it was the one I loved most. It had, bikes are cool. They're sexy. They're fun. They're fast. A lot of different disciplines. The fact that gravel, I'm sure you guys have at least heard of the name gravel. Like if you haven't, gravel racing is really cool now. It's bike racing off-road and on gravel roads that are super nice. So that's just easier to do one sport, because when you're doing triathlon, you got to go to the pool, and then you got to fit in a run, and then you got to cycle, and then you got to do that repeatedly, and trying to be, working on your career, get home, do all that stuff. It's just, you could do it, but I want to do it really well.
And be a husband and be all those things. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's a sport for like, you're a single dude without a family.
Yep.
It's like, okay, you can kind of put your time towards all that stuff, but yeah, it gets fucking harder.
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
It gets a lot harder. So how often do you ride now?
I still ride as much as I could. I would say, if you want to quantify it, I used to ride more like 300 miles a week when I was working, but didn't have a kid. And when you don't have a kid, there's a little bit more freedoms and stuff like that. And now, who knows? I mean, a couple hundred, 250 at times. The best thing, again, I'm kind of taking different things on tangents here, but the best thing has been this program called Zwift. It's an online platform. So I basically play video games every single morning on my bike. And the community has been great. Like I have a friend that's coming for my fundraiser ride, and kind of talked about that later, but he's coming all the way from Iowa in 2 weeks to hang out for the weekend and ride with me. And I've never met him. It's a total virtual relationship. He's one of the nicest dudes I know, always willing to do anything. His name's Matt as well. He's a CPA. Go figure.
What is it? You ride with other people online?
It's literally a video game. So I have my bike hooked to a trainer, and I got a big screen in front of me, and you're just racing people. I mean, you can train and all that, but a lot of the relationships have been formed by becoming a part of a team, racing other people. COVID hit, and then it really ramped up because nobody could do anything. So this was our only outlet. So we had, stage races, and there's a whole kind of Premier League that got kicked up. We actually made some money. And it's cool. It's a virtual gaming, but you got a little avatar, you're racing other avatars, and you're talking on your Discord channel, and it's cool, especially for like a working dad. I mean, the 5 to 7 a.m. slot is the holy grail. And so we're always on, chatting away, racing, training, and it's just really, it's good, because otherwise I don't know what the heck I'd be. I'd probably be at a gym doing CrossFit and look like Matt Frazier. But now instead I look like 150 pounds of nothing. So I guess there could be better things. I could look like an absolute animal, but I chose to be an endurance freak. Yeah,
I feel like there's people who, like, we see kids in here who just like, your body type is just you're more of an endurance athlete. Like, that's just how you're structured, like genetically and your build. There's people who are like strength, power, field sports. But then there are people who are like in the middle, and you're like, well, however you train, your body's gonna shift toward that direction.
Yep.
Yeah, you see that.
I'm definitely not built for endurance.
You say that, but you've probably got so many years of strength that it's.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I really put my mind to it, I'm sure. But
endurance is easier to make adaptations in, though. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's just pure brute force of doing something repeatedly. Like, you can do it, you just have to want to suffer a lot. You'd have to lose weight. You'd have to just do that.
Yeah, it takes hard work. But yeah, Paul, you think about just like the physiological changes. Like, being able to like have your heart fill out and pump up more blood, have your lung capacity be able to get better, drive your like anaerobic threshold up and your heart rate down. Like way easier changes than like learning to squat 315
Right.
or being able to improve your vertical jump.
Yeah.
But it just takes a lot of time.
And let's be clear, I got into it because I like competition.
Right.
Yeah. Not because you like endurance.
Oh, I'm a junkie for competing,
Yep.
and it was a sport that I could compete at, and that was cool to me. You know, like I like to win. You know, I like to actually be a part of what I'm doing. So that was fun. I didn't do a lot of it, but you know,
I mean, I went down the CrossFit path a little bit, and that was part of the reason why, because the competition part of it, and I did a few like local things, but I also had the realization, I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be good enough to go to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Like I had that realization pretty quick. I was like, I fucking hate snatching. I'm never going to like this, and I'm never going to be like really good at it, so I'm probably not going to make it to the games.
Yep.
But
But you definitely need to find that outlet, like post your competitive,
Absolutely.
like team sports. Like mine was powerlifting when you met me. That's what I was like balls deep into.
Then you ripped your arm off, didn't you?
And I ripped my pec.
essentially, he ripped his arm
Yeah.
off.
I remember that.
Yeah,
It was still attached to the bar, actually.
yeah, bench pressing. I had I'll name drop just for us. I ripped my pec at lunch benching. I just benched too much during the week and too much weight like overall. Yeah, so remember I'm benching at lunch. It's not much on the bar. It's 185, and I just hear like somebody like ripped a towel in my ear, and I'm like, oh, not good. So I get up, I'm like, is it my rotator cuff? No. And I'm like, oh, it must be my pec. And I had a Angle was my next session.
Yeah.
He came in. I was like, bro, I'm not gonna demo anything right now. Like, I think I just tore my pec last hour. And you know him. He's probably just like, whatever, bro. You'll be fucking okay. Yeah.
You weren't.
You weren't.
No, I wasn't. That's for sure.
Was that the end of the powerlifting?
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it, man. Yeah, I was done. I think I realized quick. Well, that was like in your 20s, you think you're fucking invincible. And in ways, I still do. But you have things like that keep you in check. And you're like, that was like my first real moment where I was like, oh, I can't just do whatever I want with no repercussions anymore.
Yeah. 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 We get older, you start to realize that.
Yeah, and that was that. This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Drink Alchemy. Fatigue and brain fog affect us all, destroying everything we pursue. Whether as an athlete, artist, creator, or entrepreneur, our mind holds the key to performing optimally. By combining the most potent organic nootropics found in nature, Drink Alchemy delivers sustainable boost to creativity, memory, energy, and focus in one epic beverage. Stop pumping your body full of excessive amounts of caffeine and unknown proprietary blends from other energy drinks, and get clean energy from Drink Alchemy's natural nootropics like lion's mane, L-theanine, and caffeine from green tea. Used by Olympians, D1 athletes, MMA fighters, and entrepreneurs, Drink Alchemy has become a huge part of my daily routine, making sure I'm functioning optimally during long days of coaching athletes, running CDSF, and getting in quality workouts myself. So do yourself a favor and ditch the energy drinks loaded with caffeine, other stimulants, and who knows what else, and head over to drinkalchemy.com today. Live with your mind unbound and save 10% off your order by using code CDSF at checkout. That's drinkalchemy.com, promo code CDSF for 10% off your order today. The video game on the bike, Did you play video games growing up?
Horribly. I was not good. The only thing I was ever good at was Tiger Woods, which I did. No, it's not Tiger Woods, but the new one with Tiger Woods this year. I downloaded it on Steam, play that with my buddy once in a while. Yeah. But that was all I was good at. My buddies were really, really proficient at Halo. Like we did the LAN parties, right? Like we didn't have all the cool stuff that they have now. So we'd go to his house and everybody, bring 2 or 3 Xboxes, and you need to have enough wires to literally circumvent your place 15 times and it'd be going from room to room. But it was pretty cool. And, I'd go and try to play and then absolutely get worked over. So I'd pretty much watch. But it was fun. I mean, that was what I grew up in. I remember Rocky Boxing game was fun on the Xbox.
Yeah, I think we had that, Jay.
Rocky Boxing, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Came along at a good time. And then, for people that were into Rocky, and then all of a sudden you're watching every Rocky. But yeah, I remember I had a cool green Xbox Halo edition. I wish I still had it. But yeah, like the N64 was probably the bread and butter, I think, of probably all of our generation. You're a little younger than me, but I think it
No,
would
the
still be.
N64 was like, because we had the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo,
Mm-hmm.
and then N64, probably the end of elementary school, late 90s.
95,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
a little later than that.
95, 96, I feel like it took off like
Yeah.
wildfire, obviously with Bond and Go-Kart.
Yep.
and-
Yeah. Yeah, GoldenEye was good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wave Rider.
PlayStation was like our peak, like the PlayStation 1.
Okay, I was more PS2. I know I'm only a couple years behind you, but
Yeah,
PS2. Was
PlayStation
probably
1
the
was like the, oh shit, this is
Yeah.
this is fucking sweet.
Yep.
And then you got the PlayStation 2 and everything else after that. But yeah, like I remember because I had the Super Nintendo and N64 and everything, and then I got the PlayStation, and I was like, oh, this is sweet. Because I had like a Sega too, and I was a big Madden guy.
Sega,
And
yep.
You could play Madden on Nintendo. That was only on Sega.
Yep.
Then you got the PlayStation, and Madden was on there, and I was like, wow, this is way better. And now I look back at it, I'm like, wow, this is garbage.
We grew up in the weirdest time where when we were younger, there was no internet, no cell phone, no. When we gamed, Jordan, and we played on Super Nintendo or Nintendo, I don't know when saving started to be a thing, but you used to not be able to save your game.
Yeah, you leave it on all night.
You-
I
Wake
think
up
I
in the
think
morning
PlayStation was the first thing you could do that
with a memory card.
Yeah, the memory
If
card.
you got
Yeah.
to if you got to a
Storage.
certain level in like Mario Party 3, we'd be like, oh, like Dad, don't touch this. We have to leave it on.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's wild to think about.
Leave the TV on all night.
Oh.
Yeah, you couldn't touch it.
I vividly remember getting a CD-ROM installed on like the computer tower. Like it didn't have one. It just had a hard disk. You know
Floppy disk.
Yeah, they call them floppy, but they weren't, right? It was
Yeah.
like a hard disk. It didn't make any sense. But yeah, I remember getting like the CD-ROM and like loading up Encarta and being like, oh,
Yeah,
I could find out anything on Encarta.
Yeah, we've seen it all really growing up in terms of this technology progression. Yeah, I remember getting installing a CD burner. So you had like in the tower, you had like the regular CD drive, and then you install another one.
Yep, to burn a CD.
So then you could burn a CD.
I had like an external one, and then eventually we got like a new computer that had it built in and whatnot. But I remember like there was an external thing. I had to put like the blank CD in, and then you put the other one in, and then it copies it.
And just a trapper keeper full of like Blockbuster ripoffs.
Yep. Oh, Blockbuster. What was that? They just posted something making fun of Netflix for the password sharing. They were like roasted Netflix on it. It was great. It was fantastic.
Everybody password shares.
Yeah, but Netflix is like cracking down on it in some way, like in that way that they actually can. I forget how.
Dude, HBO pissed me off this week
Why?
because I went to click on HBO Max.
Oh, new app.
Yeah, new app. We're just gonna call ourselves Max now. I have to remember my login.
Well, this is the third iteration. Before it was HBO, and then they went to Max.
It was
like,
HBO
okay.
Go and then HBO Max.
Yes,
Yeah.
they had
HBO
Go,
Go.
and Now, and
Yep.
then Go and Now
Came Max.
came HBO Max.
And that's
Yeah.
something else. Yeah.
And now
Why-
it's Max.
Now it's
Why,
Max.
why, Jay?
They merged with Discovery.
Didn't they get some of Cinemax too? I think.
I don't know about Cinemax, but it's all Discovery Plus and HBO content.
But
in
then
one
they're
app.
just rebranding.
They're rebranding.
It's awesome. I'm gonna have to remember my password.
Yeah,
now.
that's what pissed me off. I was like, Sam, do you know this? She's like, no, I don't know our password.
That means I'm gonna have to remember Jesse's password. Shit. I'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
no more Barry for you.
Just confused.
Oh, it's a great show.
It's getting weird though.
I haven't watched the new season.
It's weird.
Yeah,
Have you? Has anybody?
Who's the?
No.
What's the comedian's name?
Bill Hader.
Yeah. It,
Never watched.
It like starts out normal like the other ones, and then where the part where we're at, it's like
What season is this?
getting weird. Three, I think. Yeah.
I've only watched the first two. I didn't watch the third one yet.
We loved it. It's getting pretty weird. I don't know how they're gonna circle back to reality, but I don't know.
They've left reality.
Or they might not.
I mean, it is TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, shows jumped the shark. You watch I Think You Should Leave on Netflix. Do you know
No.
what that? No. New season just came out. Jordy was telling me to watch it.
Yeah, sketch comedy.
Yeah.
Wacky sketch comedy. I love it. It's a certain flavor of comedy, but
I'll give it a look. Kate and I try to get, a show to watch for the post kid getting down dinner time. Try to do that a couple times a week. We're been pretty good to going to bed early because it just makes us better people if we get some sleep. But, there's been a few shows that we'll watch. We like Lasso. Did you guys watch Ted Lasso?
No, Apple's like Plus is the only thing I don't have.
Yeah. We like that. And then, what's the one? It's with Jennifer Gardner, and the guy from or Game of Thrones. The Last Thing I Said to You or something like that. It was a book. It was just on HBO. It's decent. Check it out.
Yeah.
That's real though. The post kid, before I'd get home and be like, what am I gonna binge on for 3 hours before I go to bed?
Yeah.
But now it's like, you put the baby down and you're like, okay, we have 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
She's gonna be he or she's gonna be up at like 6, so we gotta fit this in.
You're like, what are we gonna choose right now to watch?
Yep.
Because I remember I used to come in and ask Mike things, and now Mike's like, dude, my TV watching's like Sundays. Like, that's, yep. And I was like, oh, that's fair. Like, you got kind of like a whole another human being to take care of.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the best. So how's that been for you? Transitioning from like, okay, all your training and work and training and Kate and work, and now, yeah, because Claire's how old now?
Claire's about 4.5. Yeah, I think everybody goes through it. You just figure out how to make it all work. Starts out relatively easy, I guess, for the guy in our case. Kate breastfed and did that. So when you do that, it feels like the kid's naturally like always there for many reasons, right? And it started pre-COVID, so I was still working downtown in Watertown and working the more traditional job where you work till 5:30 and you drive home.
Is that when you were with Normatec?
Yep. Yeah, so Normatec was down in Watertown, and
were you with them when they merged or got acquired by
100%.
by Hyperice?
Yep.
Because I feel like their growth has been, I guess, great. Or just seeing them more publicly. I feel like every pro sports team now, you see them. You see the Hyperice and the Normatec or the Hyperice
I definitely
stuff.
feel like I see it more than I see like Theragun, and I felt like that was what I saw all the time when that stuff first started coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much were you in that during the merge and just like riding that wave?
I mean, how deep do you want to go?
I mean, go deep. Like, yeah, I feel like it was just Normatec, and I went over once, and we sat in the boots and we chilled for a little bit.
Yeah. No, we can go down this route. That was Normatec was where I really like started my second career. I was a CPA, Price Waterhouse, did the triathlon thing, had my quarter life crisis. And then I knew, I had gotten married. And I knew, like, hey, got to do a career, got to get things back on track to be a real responsible human that wants to do things and earn money and have a house. And I actually did a photo shoot with Normatec because I knew some people.
I'll see you on Facebook ads still, or I'll see you someplace just scrolling.
Once in a while, the old ones.
You're just sitting there with one leg up.
Usually my famous one is the arm attachment. But yeah, they Normatec at the time was still pretty mom and pops, even though they were doing good business. But they didn't throw a ton of money at marketing. They didn't need to. The word of mouth is how they grew naturally.
And their products were just the boots and the arms.
Yeah, and they did it really well. Those products, like, I don't know which version you have right now.
I don't know. We got those before they. No, it was right after they probably.
I'll take a peek after.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of models from 2011 to 2018 that are just, they'll work forever. I mean, we literally used to have, and they probably still do at the headquarters in Watertown. There's boots down there that have been going for like 7 years in a row. They just for testing. So it's just, we're gonna leave this thing on and see when it breaks. And that was the old school product where you were making them in house, getting the chips abroad, but then they're getting put together in Massachusetts, and then everything was going down right at our spot. But anyways, I did a photo shoot, and I was definitely not there for the glam. I was more just to ride my bike around and to be an arm model with my head out of the picture, while the supermodels are there for everything else. But then, I said, yeah, I'm an accountant. And they're like, we need an accountant. I'm like, great. Just, what do you need? And I'll come in and do anything. I just work.
So you showed up for a photo shoot.
Yeah. Then we were having dinner or something after, and they said something. I'm like, hey, just give me a call. And so I was like, yeah, I'll work hourly. I'll do whatever you need. That's how I got a job with them. And then, yeah, it progressed well. I dove in, and I think my background, started showing through, and I was valuable as an accountant. But it was a great time. I mean, I really liked the size of the company at that time. I got to put my hands in a lot of different things. They would ask me questions on marketing and connect me with cyclists that were in the pro tour doing the Tour de France, anything like that. So if they had a connection, then they could use me to make that, or people would reach out to me. And it was fun as a number cruncher to sit behind a screen all day, to have some connections with pro athletes in different sports, whether it was actually hooking them up with a pair of boots because they reached out, or like getting a check from, like, probably can't get in trouble for this, like Baker Mayfield's foundation, and seeing Baker Mayfield's check that he signs. It's cool.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I mean, I assume he signed it unless it was like a stamp, but that stuff gets you through the day. So I really enjoyed that. And then, fast forward to literally on, I think Hyperice acquired Normatec on like February 29th, I think was the official day, or 28th. I forget, a leap year, whatever was going on. So yeah, it was literally 13 days before the pandemic. I remember all the team from the West Coast, Hyperice, came out to meet everybody, peak COVID, going nuts. And then they go home, and then the 13th hits, and then everybody's like, and we didn't work from home. Nobody did. We didn't have laptops. We had desktops. It was it was good. It was a good, healthy environment.
Right.
So everybody's like scrounging for laptops. And I remember like, hey, see you in a couple weeks, guys.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
how it was.
Never saw anybody else again.
Yeah.
And so I've been, working from my basement since. And we went through, and I was part of like 2 years of that merger happening, Hyperice acquiring Normatec, and, all the things that go on with taking over a company, merging the two different lines of business, and, learned a lot. I definitely accelerated my career in 2 years. It's probably like 6 years worth in two. And I think that's, not to go down this route, but that's probably so many jobs, so many people. You either took the route of busting your butt during the pandemic and really locking in and being valuable, or you skated by.
Yeah.
And I think those are two different paths that people could take given the opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like those are two different paths. People, just their makeup, they want to go one or the other just
Yeah.
because of how they are. Like, I really like living in Boston because I felt a lot of people I was around, they wanted to take the bust your balls path.
Yeah.
And they were in the grind all day, every day. And that was an adjustment for me coming back here, because it was way more of just, there's people that bust their ass, but just a lot more people who are okay just kind of coasting with where they're at.
Yep.
And that was-
Absolutely. Definitely the biggest change from going like Boston, or for me like New York City, was that just the mentality of everybody around you. Not just like your friends, but like literally everybody around you is
Everything. Like, Matt, when I was at Pure, if I got a new lead, so a phone call or an email, if I didn't hit that lead within 24 hours, they're gone. They're 100% gone.
Yep.
And I've taken that to here. Like, we got 24 hours, we got to reply to somebody back. Where really you have a cushion around here.
yeah.
But
a little more cushion, but
it's like, that's an example I always think about. Like, if I didn't hit this person back, they're gone. So
Yeah. But it speaks to your business acumen and just what you're trying to do it the right way.
when
Yeah.
people appreciate that you do reach out within 24 hours, even though we may have that cushion, like people would prefer that they don't have to wait. They don't want to wait for a response for something. Everybody wants immediate now. Like, oh, your email goes right to your phone. You should be able to like see it now.
Because you can go on Google and find 15 other places that you could drive to. So
yeah.
all right, I'll just do
All
that.
right, you don't want to respond to me? All right. So it does speak volumes to us.
we'll fix that.
We'll
the
fix
sign,
that in
the
a
sign
second.
just fell down.
Jordan's laughing at something, and I want to know what.
Is it
No, I was laughing at that. I'm sending my
Is it hard for you sometimes now working at a computer?
Yeah, I think I'm normal. Like, I'm an active person, but my job, the one that helps
Pays
me
bills.
chip in and do my share fare of the household payments and
Yeah.
all that kind of good stuff and save for retirement is at a desk. I think it's definitely something I struggle with. Like, I would love to be a manual labor sometimes, because I like being outside and in the sun and doing something. And my thing is sitting in front of a computer and being good at Excel and managing stuff in my head and writing notes down. And there's value to that, because it's not it's not fun and not easy.
No, there's value to that. I mean, 100%. It's like I do a lot of the business work in here, and Paul's helped me taking some of that off my plate.
Yep.
But I like to organize. I like to clean things up. I like to visualize things. So doing all the Excel, the financial stuff, I like that, but I couldn't just do that.
Yeah.
I am a manual laborer at heart.
Yep.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am. I mean, that's how my dad was. I worked forever, painting houses for him. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's just how I operate. So being able to then step away from that and then working here, interacting all day. I mean, it's not like what you'd think of as manual labor, but you're on your feet all day. You're moving around. You're demoing things.
Yep.
It's half the reason how I can stay in shape and whatnot, because I got to do 1,000 exercises a day, even if I'm not working out.
Yep.
But then you're right. It is tough. I had a friend text me a couple weeks ago. Hey, can we do a phone call? A friend from Boston. I'm thinking of starting my own business. And we're talking through it all. He's like, what were the biggest things? I love this kid. He's good, but he probably wrote down all these questions before the phone call. What were the biggest things that allowed you to get it started? And I said, well, the first biggest thing was that Sam had a job that could support us financially, that had health insurance. It's like, right, you have to be willing to sacrifice that. If you're the insurance guy and the paying the bills guy right now, then you're going to have a tough situation on your plate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because what are you going to do for the first 3 months, 6 months, a year? Who knows until you start becoming profitable and can put money in your pocket and can afford insurance for yourself. And I was like, second, you got to find the money to do what you want to do. What do you have?
Yep.
And then third, are you willing to work and work probably 80 plus hours a week for the foreseeable future? He's like, do you think I really need to work 80 plus a week? And I was like, well, do you think you really need to do this then?
It shouldn't be a need. It should be a want.
Right.
At that point.
So I was like, do you think this is really, really what you want to do? Like, you got to really think about this. Mm-hmm. It's
Well, and that goes back to what I said on the one end of the one podcast, where it's like, if you do what you love, you're gonna work more, but it's not gonna feel like it.
Yep.
Like, you will work more if you do something that you like to do, because you want to put in the effort. You want to put in the effort. You like the reward you get from it, but it doesn't feel like it. 90% of the time when I'm here, it doesn't feel like work. The things that feel like work for me are the computer things, but it's got to get done.
Yeah.
It's got to get done. And, if it's got to get done, then it'll get done, just the way it is.
Yeah, it's tough. So you think about, like, how can do I always have to be behind a computer? What else? Like, your brain's always thinking that. What else could I do? What's the next thing?
Yeah, always. But that's the thing. It's hard to take that leap when there's other things on your plate.
Yeah.
And you got to really plan out what matters, what you really think you're into. It has to be very calculated.
Yeah.
You can't just look at step one. You got to look at 2, 3, all the way to Z.
And then you got to, it's just like you had Sam that said, go do it. You have to have the support of your family, your partner, whoever it is, your business partner, somebody that says, like, just go do it. And then you have to trust in yourself that you can kick butt at it regardless, because nobody else is going to believe in you. They're just going to, people like to shirk hard work, and if they don't have to. But it takes a leap of faith to start something of your own.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure it does. This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Anchor and the all-new Anchor Pro, crafted to endure the most high-performance workouts without the high cost and space requirements of a standard cable machine. Named the best portable cable machine by Men's Health Home Gym Awards, Anchor provides the full functionality of a cable machine in one small space-saving unit. Designed with user-friendliness in mind, Anchor can simply be attached to any squat rack or placed on any wall in your home gym using its intuitive sliding track mount. With up to 65 pounds of resistance, Anchor is built for high speed and controlled exercises alike. From cable presses and rows to chops and lifts, the Anchor has been a game changer for us here at CDSF. And now you can enjoy the same professional quality cable machine in your own home gym by heading over to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. Get all the benefits of a cable machine without the high cost and installation fees. Enjoy the portable luxury and space-saving performance of Anchor today by going to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 at checkout. That's anchortraining.com, promo code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. So you have a fundraiser coming up, right?
Sure do.
For Claire.
Yep.
For Claire. I was going to text you this yesterday, but I was like, I'll just tell him in person. I was scrolling, not yesterday, maybe Friday. I was scrolling after we texted. I made some of these notes. I was scrolling through your Instagram.
Yep.
Just scrolling down, clicking on posts, reading them, just see what you've been up to. And I got to an early post of Claire when she first got diagnosed. I think you made a post. And bro, it fucked me up. I was sitting in the office crying, Paul. I was like, holy shit.
I feel like I
dude.
came in the office and I could tell like something wasn't, and you were talking about it. You talked about it to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different that we have a baby now. You know, it's like I probably saw that 5 years ago. I was like, fuck, man, this is tough for Matt and Kate, but it's a whole nother thing when you're like, you have your own baby. And you're like, how do you even?
It's like watching a movie where a kid gets hurt. You're like, oh, I can't watch this.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you don't mind, just tell a little bit about your story and Claire, and she's kicking butt now, but what you guys went through and the fundraiser. And
Yeah. So the backstory, and we can get to the fundraiser, but the backstory is when Claire was 4 months old, she got diagnosed for retinoblastoma, which is essentially cancer of the eyes. This is at like a 4-month check-in. The funny, not so funny story of this is that I was in the middle of America when Kate found out. I was in Kansas for it's now called the Unbound gravel race that happened last weekend. 200-mile bike race out in the middle of Kansas, completely deserted. I was staying in a dorm room. But the week before, Kate and Claire had gone to their the 4-month checkup, just totally normal. And they went and they're like, yeah, I figure it was my mother-in-law was like, yeah, her eye, I don't know, it kind of crosses once in a while. You should check it. And then after the second time she went back in, the doctor, and was like, yeah, you should go have this looked at. So we just thought, oh, maybe she needs, like, maybe her eye's wandering or something. Like, we had no indication that was anything serious. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Kansas. And so it was the night before the race, right? You know, Kate calls me, and yeah, it's like, Claire has cancer. It's nuts. She was with her mom, thankfully, when they went to the doctor, Dr. Shaw, who takes care of her. But yeah, 4 months old. I mean, I don't know how you take that. Thank God her mom was there, because otherwise it just would have been Kate alone, which would have been a nightmare. Can't imagine finding that solo. So yeah, she called me that night, and I was, I don't know how you take it. I'm pretty immune to it, being like 4 years on now. But yeah, it was. I don't know how I really got through that.
Yeah.
I went out and rode 200 miles the next day because I had nothing else to do. There was no flights home. What was I going to do? Like, we were going to the doctors that Wednesday together and figuring out what was going to happen next. So, I just went out, and of course I was like, had a good beginning of the race and then flatted, and then my day went haywire, and I somehow was out there for a bunch of hours.
yeah, how's your brain not go to a bad place?
It went there, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it broke down. Like, I had a friend that lived out there that took care of the aid stations, and I think it was at like mile 50. My tires are flat. I'm a mess, and just like completely balling in front of them. Like, this is going good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been 4 years. She initially went through 6 rounds of chemo to neutralize everything, because essentially she's got tumors in her eyes. She still does. They're mostly dead now. They haven't been active in 2 years, which is awesome. But yeah, full on, daughter's got cancer. You go in and they're like, great to meet you. You're going to go over the Jimmy Fund today. And you're like, you're just in shock.
Well, listen, living in Boston, right? You see the Jimmy Fund all the time.
Yeah.
But you never think.
Yeah, you never go there.
Right. You never think it's going to be you going there.
donate to it.
Right.
You think about it, but then, you walk across the PMC bridge and you go in there and you're like, whew, all bald kids sitting around. This is really real. So yeah, the first time was weird. But everybody's so good there. I mean, it's why the fundraiser is for the Children's Hospital because the Children's Hospital is who's really taking care of everything. Jimmy funded all the chemo and all that, and they're basically connected. But our main doctor is with the Children's Hospital, who's taken care of her for the last 4 years. We used to go every month. And this kind of goes back, I can kind of segue back to Normatec, and I was working for them at the time. And, back in that day, the owner, Gilad, and my boss, Christian, were such good people. Like, do whatever you need to do. They call me in the office, like, here's a check, and there's no taxes on it. Put in your bank account, take care of your family. Like, that was the kind of shop we ran back then.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you could do when you're smaller, but they allowed us, they did, like, the HR made, everybody donated their PTO to me, and it's super cool. And it made it easy because we had to be at the hospital a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit, and you had to go get a COVID test every time before. So it's like we were there a lot, and they were super supportive. They never a peep about it. But she did great. And the last 2 years have been dormant. We went through other stuff. There was other chemos that happened that they did, different styles. One went right into her eye. It's crazy, through her groin,
Jesus.
into the eye.
And it's such, baby, she has no clue what's going on.
No idea.
It's like
Absolute trooper.
Jesus.
And yeah, it's I guess the last, the kind of sad piece is, somebody's asking, yeah, my kid went under for tonsils or something. Like, it was awful. And then it just gets Kate and I thinking, like, how many times has Claire been put under? And you're like, 50, 60, like, oh my God. So it's we have a different mindset about it because it happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to a lot of people, hundreds of thousands. So this isn't a thing, but we had a lot of support. The hospital's great. Our family's great. People came over, stayed with us. The first couple of years, that's when it's really rough. Luckily, it's been good now. And through all of that kind of leads to the fundraiser that I do. In 2000, I wanted to figure out a way to give back because the first year when I was with Normatec, we did a corporate, like, I think it was a corporate field day for the company, and you could donate, right? So I kind of put that out there, and we donated a ton, and it went to the Children's Hospital, and so then I kind of took it for my own and did it my own. It's called like Fundraise Your Way or something. And I wanted to ride my bike a significant amount, like make it meaningful to me. So I rode from Boston back to where I'm from in the Finger Lakes, which is about 400 miles. So I do it in 2 days. I don't do it all in one. I like to sleep in a hotel. But it was just something that was meaningful to me that took some mental fortitude to go do. 200 miles in a day can be done, but it's not easy, so something to rally behind. And I've always wanted some friends to join me. And this year, it's taking place on Father's Day. I've got at least 3 or 4 people that'll probably do the whole thing with me, which is super cool.
The same ride, Boston to Finger Lakes?
It's going to be new. It's going to be from Millis, from Boston, from my house, each day, different routes. Kate's helped me with a website this year. It's got donation links. I've got a store, and I'm going to do a raffle. So I'm trying to build it into something, akin to the Pan Mass Challenge, where it's kind of the hardo challenge of doing something that's a little harder than normal. It's not easy. You can't just get off the couch and do it. It takes some effort, but something that means a lot to me. And I think the community, family, friends, people rally behind it. They like to donate to a good cause. I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but like I like to put on a show for it. Not just be I'm doing something good. You should donate to it because it does something good. I want to see some blood, sweat, and tears behind it. Mm-hmm. So that's been the impetus for it. It's called the Ride4Claire. Ride4Claire.com is the official website now, and it's nice. It's my thing. I hope to keep growing it. I would love to see it get bigger. And part of it was like, man, I go through Albany all the time with it. I should stop at Mike's, but it never quite worked. I was always tired when I got here.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, because you got to ride through here, right? You're going from Boston to Finger Lakes.
Some of the best riding is from Albany to the Finger Lakes. You like, is it Pinnacle? Do you know Pinnacle Hill or whatever it is? Just outside Albany, you got to climb up, and I think it's Pinnacle, and then you descend down kind of into the valley, and you're kind of running along the rivers down there, running along the thruway and below. Last year I went through Cooperstown, and
That's
it was
pretty
like the old timers day, so I could hear like Bobby Abreu like hitting bombs.
Oh, that's cool as shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I purposely did it because it's funny. Last year, so my parents got COVID when we were here. It's like a year ago. And so I was like, I got COVID. So we were like, all right, we're going to go to Syracuse to the sister's house. So I took off from Syracuse to Boston last year. So I did like a southeastern route, hit Cooperstown, and then came back up to Albany. But yeah, it was crazy. It was raining, tons of people there. I was like, oh, something's going on. Yeah, old timers day.
Do you ever play at that field growing up?
I sure did. Yeah. I didn't hit a home run, but I definitely had a couple doubles.
It's a short porch. You always try to hit a home run.
Yeah,
when
you
were there.
definitely try it.
Like how deep is it down left?
Left's the shortest.
Shortest,
It's got to
for
be
sure.
like 300 flat. I'll look it up. I'm
Yeah.
curious.
So that was like my high school.
Did you hit a homer there ever, Jay?
No.
No, me neither. I didn't have many homers. I think I probably had 3 home runs in my whole career.
I had like 4 or 5. My vividly the one I remember most is, you guys all know The Natural. So there's a scene in The Natural where, Roy comes up and he's bleeding, and the ump's like, "Are you all right?" I think the ump actually has like a line, and it's at Buffalo Municipal Stadium. So that ump was umping one of our games, and my dad knew. And I was
no
like,
way.
"Oh man, this is cool." So I hit a bomb. After the game, like, he signed my ball, and that was my home run story.
That's cool.
How deep?
296.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
296.
Yeah, you could bunt that out. But it was fun. I think I played 2 or 3 times, usually Legion games in the summer.
I miss baseball like that because now it's so crazy with travel. Like everybody, you don't play like a schedule. You play like crazy travel tournaments around the whole country, just trying to get seen and doing showcases. Yeah, I miss Legion ball and
Yeah.
like town ball.
Playing with your friends. Yeah.
Yeah. I just did Little League and All Stars. I think I did Legion like 1 year, and like that was it.
Yeah, you would do that like when you were end of high school or early college. You
But I
would
was like,
play
it's
Legion.
summer, and then I got football, so I'm gonna take this time to chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be that. Okay, so Ride4Claire, what are the routes this year?
Yep. So Ride4Claire is going to be, day one will be from the Boston area out around the Quabbin Reservoir out to Mount Wachusett. So it'll be kind of a hilly day, 17,000 feet of climbing. And then day 2, which I think more people will join in on, is nice and flat, and that's going to go from the Boston area down to the ocean, so down to like Rhode Island ocean, Rhode Island coast. It's going great. I think we're up to $8,000 plus. There's been at least $1,000 in kind of raffle and sell some water bottles and cool stuff that some really good partnerships. Some friends have donated to the cause that we can sell and put the proceeds right back into it. So we're excited. It's the 4th year, so that means 1,600 miles this year. That'll be cool. Year 5 will be 2,000 miles.
So you add 400 miles each year.
Yep, just about. So yeah, hopefully more people do it and they can like join the club and have a 1,000-mile club and all that kind of stuff.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
So where can people find this? Where can they donate?
Yep. So the easy link now, thanks to my wife, Kate, who's a user experience and helped me hook up with a Shopify or something. Squarespace, maybe. I don't know.
One of them.
Is that? Do you have a sponsorship from Squarespace?
No, I use
should.
Squarespace for a couple sites.
Shout out Squarespace.
Easy to use. Shout out Squarespace.
Squarespace.com.
Don't use WordPress.
Just keep saying it.
That fucks me up.
Yeah. We'll get a discount. CDSF 10%. If enough people do it, we'll probably get it. No, so it's just Ride4Claire, RIDE, the number 4, Claire, CLAIRE.com. The homepage has a donate button that takes you straight to the Children's Hospital. And then within it, there's a store that you can get a raffle ticket. If you're a cyclist, there's a cool custom helmet. I'll have to show Mike when my wife gets back. That I'm raffling off. Hyper Ice, courtesy of my old boss, Christian. who's amazing, donated a couple Hyper Ice products. So $15 ticket, you could win some pretty valuable stuff: helmet, Hypervolt, I think it's a Pro, Venom back, and then some other cool swag pieces that we have that are branded. And then the ride maps are on there if you want to check out what we're doing. And we'll have a blog added to kind of give people updates of what's going down when we're actually out riding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Do the Bills ever beat the Chiefs?
They do in the regular season quite regularly now.
Yeah, because everybody wants to see it.
Yeah. I'm hearing a lot. I hear Josh is a good space. He's got a new girlfriend. He's probably going to try to show off for her all season. The only thing that stops them, I think, is just injury. I just pray to God that Josh doesn't ever get hurt, or you have somebody like Vaughn go down.
Yep.
Those pieces you can't replace, and you can put duct tape on it for a while, but then it shows through.
Especially when you play Patrick Mahomes.
Is that what the AFC Championship's going to be, Paul, for years and years here?
It's gonna be those two. Those two teams will be in the Final Four for a long time, like the Final Four of the AFC.
Yeah.
For a while. It'll probably be those two teams a lot, or one of those two teams playing somebody else, just because.
Yeah, Chargers could get there. I mean, Herbert's super good, so if they put it together.
Yeah, but he's never won anywhere. That's the only reason I say that.
Yeah, well,
But,
between him and Burrows.
And the Chargers are cursed.
Yeah.
Why are they cursed?
They're just cursed. Like, they never win anything. They'll be really good, and it's that kind of like the Bills. Like, the Bills and Chargers have like a similar thing. Like, they just never win. Like, they'll be 14-2 or now 14-3 because they're 17 games, and then not win the Super Bowl. They'll be the best team in the NFL.
Yep.
Doesn't make any sense. Or they have the most talent in the NFL and they don't win.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, they had Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, all those guys. They're a stacked teams.
LaDainian Tomlinson's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think it will be Bills Chiefs for. If I was going to be a bet, which I am a betting man, I would say.
Do you do
Shout out
that shit
DraftKings.
too, Matt?
Well, I used to only be able to do it when I was in New York or New Hampshire, so I'd come back in Thanksgiving. And,
Oh yeah, because you can't. I remember
throw
we
a
went to
couple
Mass.
bets on the Bills for the Thanksgiving day, but it's changed now. Football. I stick to like once in a while, put some bets on the Bills, but I can't let myself go down that rabbit hole. I'm addicted to things.
Yeah,
That's why I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't even play fantasy sports, because I feel like I would get really into it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to.
One of our other coaches here, Pierce, and I will always be like, "So, what are we cooking up today?" But it's always like for me, it's never like I'm not betting like hundreds of dollars or anything like that.
Doing
Like, it does add up.
16 parlay.
That's what they'll do. They'll be like, I'm trying to think. They'll be like, Jason Tatum has to score 12, but then he needs 5 rebounds, and they got to win by 6, and then the Lakers also have to win, and you're like, what the fuck?
It's like that scene. Have you guys watched Air yet?
No, but
No.
I do need to watch it.
Yeah, there's a scene where Damon, who's playing Sonny Vaccaro, goes to like the sports book on his way back from a trip, and he just rips off like a 14 thing parlay. All of it hits, you know, of course.
Of course,
But
never happens in real life.
yeah,
Once in a while, I get it. Like you can see like how much you've spent and lost, and I'm not as bad as I thought I was. I was like, oh wow, that's not that bad. Like, but then I see like other people, and I'm like, oh, that's bad.
yeah.
You might need to call that number.
Yeah.
that 1-800 number. That
I've
they
seen
give you.
Uncut Gems. I know how all this ends.
Oh yeah. Listen, I'll get out before then. Don't worry, Mike.
One of the things you gotta keep out, my buddy. Like once in a while, they do these things where it's you put like $1 in or something, or $50, and it's like an automatic guaranteed win, so that you cash out at 100.
Yeah.
But they keep it in, so it's just like, oh, they got your 50, they give you 100, they know you're gonna spend it all, so they get that 50 back.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
you can't cash it out. It stays in
No,
there.
you can
it's-
cash out, but it's like it's a guaranteed win. It's crazy. They just give away $50, knowing that you're just gonna waste it all
Yeah,
again.
that's it. Whoever's behind the like marketing and the
They're
promos,
genius.
they know what they're doing.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
because they know like someone like me, like I might take that $50 out because
Yeah.
I'm not like I'm a degenerate, but not that bad of a degenerate.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, oh, $50, I'm gonna take the $50 I want out. I'll leave the $50 that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
already put in. most people that
It's
are
already in there.
it's already in there. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Like,
Yeah.
so they're betting on those people, not me.
And that's where you do the stupid bets because it's not your money. It's just free money.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's gone.
And all of a sudden
then
you're and then the $50 you put in is also gone.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mess with any of that, man.
I get it.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game.
It is.
No way.
He'll just stick with the cards.
Yeah.
and
Stick with the cards.
making $4,000.
I've been good though lately. Like I haven't been, I've been keeping it chill. I've been buying a lot of bike stuff lately, so that's kind of where the stuff's going to.
Well, you got the race coming up, so I'm sure that's
Yeah.
fresh in your mind.
Yeah. It's not a race. It's a
Well,
fun ride.
Fun
Yeah,
ride.
it's
It's
good-
a
good
in
ride.
your head it might be a race to yourself.
No, this one I'm gonna be keeping some other horses in check.
Okay.
Usually when it's solo, yeah, I'm just like racing to get home.
Yeah.
But I'll have some people block and give me some draft. It'll be nice.
There you go.
It'll be easy.
Nice.
Easy 400 miles.
Yeah, man. We good. No, I appreciate you stopping by.
course.
It's been really 2017.
Like 5 years, at
5,
least.
6 years, dude.
Yeah.
Some
wild.
weird years too. Probably the weirdest we'll ever have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say so.
Yeah, the COVID years for sure, the weirdest. Yeah, it's all kind of been a blur, but in a good way. But no, I'm happy you could finally stop by.
Me too.
And we catch up and we talk and yeah, man, I appreciate it, Matt. So again, Ride4Claire.com.
Ride4Claire.com is the fundraiser. Yeah, same thing, man. It's great to catch up. It's fun to talk about anything, everything. Hopefully somebody listens to this and enjoys our banter of cards and mediocre baseball, mediocre everything. I like to say I'm a Renaissance man. I'm great at nothing and kind of good at a lot of stuff.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you. So thank you, Matt, and we'll catch everybody next time. Thank you.